Warm greetings, Code Monkeys, and welcome back to CodedLockFilms. It's that time again, so let's dive right into another episode of Disney Direct DVDs.
Disney, oh Disney, you shake most of my childhood, yes you mean a lot to me.
So yes, I have been gone for a while due to a myriad of different reasons. Some of those reasons being the acquisition of a new computer and new editing software, and the complete overhaul and reorganization of my entire room and consequently my review space. So I hope you'll understand when I say that for the past few months, filming stuff has just not been feasible. However, I was able to write plenty of stuff during that time, so I have tons of things that are ready to film and edit, meaning that content should hopefully be a little bit more regular around here again. So I figured that since I have been gone for so long, I should make my first comeback video something that people have been asking for, which brings me to Mulan 2. The original Mulan movie was not exactly what one might call a typical Disney princess movie. For starters, Mulan wasn't even a princess and doesn't ever become one, but beyond that, this was a step outside the box. Disney princess movies are pretty much always structured around a central romance of some kind. Even when the movie is arguably about something other than the relationship, it's still got the relationship as a framing device. To name a few examples, Pocahontas, though the events of the story concern the conflict between the Native Americans and the settlers, is still pretty much about the relationship between Pocahontas and John Smith. Even in the case of Snow White, where the prince and princess only share about 3 minutes of screen time and the rest of the film is just a series of little vignettes, the central driving element from Snow White's perspective is still her desire to be with her prince. But Mulan was different. The romance in Mulan was basically entirely incidental. It's certainly there, but you could conceivably cut it out and the movie wouldn't suffer all that much. The romance was also unique in that rather than being the central device of the story, it served primarily to enhance the theme. Mulan's character arc is actually fairly minor when you get right down to it. Basically, the only change she needs to go through is getting more comfortable in her own skin and allowing her inner confidence to come out. Rather than our main heroine needing to undergo a major change, it's the society around her that needs to change. Mulan lives in a world where women are not taken seriously and have very rigidly defined roles. Shang starts off as part of that society. He speaks in misogynistic terms, is obsessed with the notions of ideal manliness, and when he finds out that Mulan is female, he's not hurt because he's been lied to, he's disgusted because he's been fooled by a woman. And when he finally gets over that societal prejudice and starts to respect her and see her as an equal, it serves as a good little microcosm of the movie's message. It's Shang that has to grow and change for this relationship to work, not Mulan. And what I liked most about this aspect of the story is that a lot of it was subtextual, told through Shang's reactions, his attitudes, and his facial expressions. The movie took its audience seriously enough to avoid hitting them over the head with this message, and it allowed the relationship to work without needing to make the story focus solely around the difficulties of love and marriage. So with all that in mind, let's talk about Mulan 2, a story all about the difficulties of love and marriage. Oh, for fuck's sake!
Code monkey, get up, get coffee. Code monkey, go to job. Code monkey, have boring meeting with boring manager Rob. Rob say code monkey very diligent, but his output stink. His code not functional or elegant. What do code monkey think? Code monkey think maybe manager wanna write goddamn login page himself. Code monkey not say it out loud. Code monkey not crazy, just proud. Code monkey like Fritos. Code monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Code monkey very simple man with big warm fuzzy secret heart. Code monkey like you. Code monkey like you.
You know, it doesn't bode well when the first plot point of your sequel demonstrates that you've completely missed the point of the original, but I'm not really being entirely fair here. After all, the ending of Mulan pretty heavily implied that a relationship was going to happen here at some point, so it's totally reasonable that the sequel would go into that relationship. And since this is Disney, relationship of course means marriage. So this is pretty much what you'd expect out of a Mulan sequel. Granted, it's completely mishandled, but more on that later. So just a few minutes into the movie, we get our proposal scene, and soon everyone is showing up to celebrate Shang and Mulan getting engaged.
Make way for the happy couple!
Because Asian. But as joyous as this occasion is, it does mean bad news for one person.
Hold on to your ectoplasm now. Mulan's getting married.
Hi, white guy doing an Eddie Murphy impression.
It is written, once a woman marries,
species, her husband's ancestors take over the duty of guardianship.
No. Your scroll must have a typo. That can't be.
Oh, but it is! You're out of a job!
Out of a pedestal and out of our hair!
Fool!
Now, this may all seem a bit harsh on the part of the Guardians, but given the fact that this is the way that Mushu has been treating them...
And now I think I'd like to visit my beloved pedestal.
Let's get it over with.
Ceremonial robe of honor. Ooh, if Mulan could see me now.
Yeah. These are supposed to be the honored and respected ancestors of Mulan's family, so forgive me if it's kind of hard for me to sympathize with Mushu's plight. But the attention has to come from somewhere, so how to artificially up the stakes?
So, tell me, will it be a big wedding?
Absolutely.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Children?
As many as possible.
Maybe one or two.
We'll have to think about it.
Right away.
Blue.
Pink.
Mild.
Spicy.
Yes.
No.
Oh dear, did you hear that?
Not exactly a harmonious couple, are they?
That'll do. Okay, again, I will be fair here. This is also not entirely unreasonable. Think about it in terms of the first movie. How well do Shang and Mulan know each other, really? Sure, they served in the military together, but beyond that, they haven't really talked much, at least not that we've seen. They certainly have respect for one another, but you need more than mutual respect to work as a romantic couple. You have to have stuff in common, you have to have congruent life goals, you have to have compatible personalities. That might well not be the case with Shang and Mulan. Plus, the movie establishes that it's been less than a month since the events of the first movie, and Shang has more than likely been gone for most of that since we see he's secured a promotion to the rank of general. So yeah, Shang and Mulan not necessarily working as a couple? I can get behind that.
Look at them. Those two clearly got it going on.
Or, you know, not. So Shang and Mulan are called back into service by the Emperor, and before they leave, Mulan's father has some parting words of advice.
We were just admiring the Mulan tree.
It's so lovely this year.
The blossoms reach for the sunlight above, yet unseen the roots reach for the rainwater below.
Because Asian.
Sun and rain, so different, yet only by working together do they create harmony and life.
I'm sorry, does this guy just speak entirely in vaguely mystical Kung Fu master monologue?
I know, Baba. The lesson of yin and yang.
Oh god, they're really going with the yin and yang thing. A little cliche, wouldn't you say? I don't know, Entropy, how's the racism meter looking? Not too bad, Jesse. We are currently sitting somewhere between Wayne Brady and Dave Chappelle. Well, keep me posted.
Wait a minute. Old man VYou got a point now. Mulan and Shang are as different as sun and rain. And when the infatuation wears off, their tree of life's gonna wind up with root rot.
Well, yeah. I can see the logic in that.
Oh yeah, sure, she seems happy. That's the real tragedy here. The girl don't even realize how miserable she is. That's why I gotta nip this thing in the bud.
Oh, for the love of Loki's antlers, are you really doing this?
Cricky, I'm gonna break them up.
Yes, Code Monkeys, the villain of this movie is none other than Mushu. Oh, the horrible dread and suspense. But it'd be a pretty boring movie if all that happened was schemes to break them up, so we're off to see the Emperor, who has a special mission for Shang and Mulan. The deal is that China is about to be attacked by the Mongols. But the Emperor has a plan to resolve the situation without having to fight the Mongols head-on.
We will forge a union so strong the Mongol hordes won't dare attack. An alliance with the kingdom of Qigong. We will become united through marriage. You will escort 3 princesses to Qigong. There, they will marry Lord Qin's son and seal this critical alliance.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, an arranged marriage?
Rest assured, child. My daughters know exactly what they're doing.
Your daughters?
They consider it an honor to marry in the cause of peace.
Your Majesty, I...
Apology accepted.
Okay, I get that Mulan is supposed to be a progressive thinker and everything, but I still don't get why she's so utterly horrified by the very concept of an arranged marriage. I mean, sure, it might not be right for her personally, but this is a major part of the culture she's grown up in. Maybe she might not approve, but she's got no right to be surprised is all I'm saying. Particularly since the very first thing we see her doing in the first movie is preparing to be part of an arranged marriage. The Emperor says that they have 3 days in which to accomplish this mission, otherwise the existing alliance will evaporate as the individual kingdoms focus more and more on protecting themselves rather than one another. They decide to take a very small detachment of soldiers to make a stealthy trip across the countryside with the 3 princesses in tow.
I know just the men. Fearless
Loyal.
and disciplined.
China's most honorable and noble soldiers.
Oh, those rascals!
Ah, forget that dragon lady. The only ones who can find girls worthy of us is us. Yeah.
Hi, guy who's trying really hard to sound like Harvey Fierstein even though he clearly isn't Harvey Fierstein.
Well, I don't need her to be all smug and snooty.
No, that's okay. You don't need to sing. Really.
We have everything we dreamed we'd find when we came back from war.
Yeah, everything but
Pause for emphasis.
a girl worth fighting for.
And we continue the noble tradition of taking songs from the original movie, changing the lyrics, and making the performance slightly less polished and epic. Return of Jafar would be so proud. And in case you needed a quick recap, our 3 sidekicks are looking for, respectively, a woman who can cook like Martha Stewart, a woman who will worship his manliness, and a woman who will put up with his bleach-drinkingly painful attempts at humor. That night, our company collects the princesses and gets ready to head out. Gee, there are 3 princesses and 3 dopey sidekick soldiers. I wonder if this could possibly be leading to some sort of plot point involving the 6 of them pairing off into couples.
So, you're getting married.
Oh, yes.
2 princes in Qigong.
That's right.
Well, they must be handsome.
We don't know. We've never met them.
Really? So you have no idea what they're like? At all?
It's all right, Fa Mulan. It's our honor to serve the Emperor and the Middle Kingdom.
The whole thing is so exciting. We're very happy, really.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm not sure I could go through with
Mulan, prepare to move out.
She's just a great soldier, isn't she? Attempting to interfere with the mission at hand and shirk her duty to her country just for the sake of validating her own beliefs. Just fantastic. Look, I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like I'm being mean here, but I really gotta side with the Emperor on this one. The safety of this entire country is more important than these 3 girls being able to marry for love. Especially when you consider the fact that arranged marriages are an intrinsic part of the culture at hand, particularly for princesses. This is something they've been preparing for all of their lives. It's their duty to their country, Mulan. Put your personal feelings aside and do the job you agreed to do.
If we get to the Honshu Pass by midday tomorrow...
We'll have just enough time to make it to Qigong.
Yeah, just enough time to stop Mulan from making the biggest mistake of her life.
I can hear you, Mushu. So the next day we continue to hammer away at the point that Mulan doesn't approve of the Emperor's plan.
What's wrong?
I realize our duty is to the mission.
But
I have another duty. To my heart.
Oh, for the love of... This has nothing to do with your heart!
But Shang, an arranged marriage?
I know, but not everyone can be as lucky as we are. In an ideal world, everyone would marry for love. But the world isn't perfect. I'm just glad my world is.
You know, he's right. Listen, Mulan, you have every right to do what makes you happy, but what you're doing here is projecting your own values onto these girls, who, as far as you know, don't share those values, and forcing your personal beliefs into a situation that is far, far bigger than yourself. This isn't about what's best for these girls. This is about you being right.
My world. Talk about selfish. You know, you don't hear me bragging about how it's my world, even though it pretty much is. I'm telling you, Cricky, the sooner I bust them apart, the better things will be for Mulan.
I can still hear you, Mushu. I'm right here. And yeah, I like that, this movie pretending to understand selfishness. Do me a favor and keep that in mind down the line. So there's a bunch of setup for the romances between the princesses and the trio, and to this movie's credit, the chemistry doesn't feel terribly forced. No, it's the theme itself that feels forced.
You were so brave to take your father's place in the army.
Oh, well, thank you.
Your duty was to stay home, but your heart told you to break the rules. How did you decide between duty and heart?
By following my feelings, I wound up doing the right thing. I guess I learned that my duty is to my heart.
My duty is to my heart. Yes, that makes sense. That's marvelous. Thank you, Mulan. Thank you.
Again, great, soldier. All this duty to your heart stuff is nice and everything, but the fate of your country and millions of lives are at stake here. This is just flat out irresponsible. So we get a couple of scenes where Mushu tries to make Sheng look like an idiot, but it's that old she finds his awkwardness endearing chestnut. Your technique needs work, Mushu. Might I suggest tripping them into the snow? That seems to work out pretty well. There's also a scene where the cart gets knocked loose and goes over a cliff, mandating a change of travel plans.
There's a mountain pass between here and Qigong. It takes us through bandit country, but it's the only way.
Why not just follow the river?
Because the river's not on the map.
It's bound to go past a town, and where there's a town, there's a road.
Wow, that's kind of a big assumption to make. And even if the river does go past a town, you have no idea how far away that town might be. It could be days or even weeks.
There's no town on the map.
Well, then maybe we should just forget the map and wing it.
Wing it? You're transporting princesses, for God's sake, and you want to wing it?
We can't wing it. We need a new plan. We have 3 days. What if we get lost?
Then we pull over and ask directions.
Oh, for the love of crap, you're actually using the men don't ask directions joke, aren't you?
We don't need to pull over and ask directions. We have a map.
What is it with men and asking directions?
What is it with women and maps?
Jerry Seinfeld would turn down these jokes. I cannot believe that they expect us to go along with this. I mean, this is really how they're introducing tension between these characters. The establishing disagreement that sends them down the path to breaking up is a fight over asking for directions. Maybe this wouldn't make me quite so mad if the rest of the movie was as bad as this stuff, but after this scene we switch back over to some more stuff with the princesses starting to have feelings for the soldiers, and again, it feels surprisingly natural. The chemistry between them doesn't feel forced, and the three girls actually act like real sisters might. The youngest one wants to follow her heart and be with not Harvey Fierstein, but the eldest does her best to remind her of her responsibility to her country. More than that, she acknowledges that yes, it does suck that they can't be with the men for whom they're developing feelings.
The life of a princess from her birth is well defined.
Oh.
She must humbly serve her country, play the part she's been assigned. She guards the hopes of her people, weak and mighty, rich and poor. Who could ever ask for more? Who could ever ask for more?
Now see, that was actually really well done.
I want to be like other girls.
And you went and ruined it. Bang up job there, guys.
To speak for myself,
to sing way off key.
Marry someone I've met who loves me for me. No escorts, no manners, no nursemaids, no worries, no hands folded perfect, like holding a lily.
Because Asian! How are we doing over there, Entropy? Well, there has been a definite spike. We are currently in Daniel Tosh territory and we're encroaching on the boondocks fast. Well, no time to dwell on it now. We have more Mushu scheming to get to.
General Shang? General Hardhead, that's what we should call him. Everything's got to have a strategy.
Mulan?
The man won't brush his teeth without a backup plan.
What? Huh?
I blame myself. I fell for those broad shoulders. I didn't realize there wasn't much sitting on top of them. Oh, except for that garlic breath.
Wait, that boy can peel paint. Oops.
That's enough. Where is she? Mulan?
Why, hello, General. Out on night maneuvers?
General Hardhead? Brushing my teeth?
Whoa, looks like someone's been taking General Radcliffe lessons. I suppose this is as good a time as any to talk about the animation, since I'm fairly certain you already know where this scene is going. Now, I don't really make a habit of talking much about the animation in these movies because I don't want to send the wrong message. See, animation is one of those forms of art that is extremely dependent upon budget. With any kind of studio work, the quality of animation is directly correlated with the amount of money and time spent on it. Animators work extremely hard, and I don't want anyone to blame the animators themselves for the quality of animation in these sequels. Asking them to crank out film quality animation on such restrictive budgets would be kind of like asking one electrician to wire the entire Empire State Building with nothing more than a soldering iron and a box cutter. Thus, I only talk about the animation when I feel that there's something particularly amusing or noteworthy about it, like the continuity in Return of Jafar or Radcliffe's mouth in Pocahontas 2, such is the case with Mulan 2. What's funny about the animation in this movie is that 99% of the time it actually looks pretty damn good. But in a small handful of scenes, the facial animation just goes completely off the rails. It's like most of the animation sub-teams were all on the same page of making it look as much like the movie as possible, but one of the sub-teams didn't get the memo and was animating it more like a cartoon. Was there just no animation director overseeing this process? I don't get it. But yeah, they fight and storm off in a huff.
What's with him? What's with her? Who am I talking to?
Do you know, audience? And a little later that night...
You see, Chen Po here has always had a dream.
A dream?
A dream?
A dream.
But I don't... Oh, that dream.
A dream of seeing a small village in the middle of nowhere by the moonlight.
How can we help?
Well, if your highnesses would consent to come with us to the village, we could still guard you, and Chenpo could have his dream.
Oh yeah, this is rich. Taking the princesses away from the secure outpost to go fart around in some village, thereby alerting potential kidnappers to your presence and location. This is supposed to be a covert mission, you morons! Do you really not see any flaws in this plan? Well, I guess I'm worrying for nothing because for some reason, not a single person in this village recognizes the daughters of the Emperor, and they are never once put in harm's way. Well, stupid me for thinking that could have gone poorly. Mulan catches up to them just a little bit before Shang does, and she's all ecstatic about love and stuff, but when Shang shows up, well, let's just say he's not happy.
I'm so sorry to break up your little party.
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Shang, before you jump to conclusions, let me explain the situation.
Fine. Why don't we start with this?
That's mine.
All yours? Or did you have help? And so, my dear father, I cannot complete this mission. I have come to realize that my duty is to my heart. Now, who does that sound like?
May never meant to send that letter.
Your Highnesses, you swore a vow to be married in Qigong. If your father saw you now, breaking that vow, what would he say?
Shang, the problem isn't as bad as it seems.
The problem, Mulan, is you.
What?
You place your own feelings above everything. Duty, obligation, tradition, it all means nothing to you.
It means everything to me. My heart tells me my duty, and I follow it.
Once again, I must say, Shang is entirely correct. If this were just some average, everyday arranged marriage, then yeah, I'd say he's being kind of a dick. But I must remind you of this, and pay attention, because this is the important part. The fate of China is at stake! And all this duty to my heart stuff comes straight from Mulan, who's been doing nothing but push her values onto these girls, despite the fact that doing so would have disastrous consequences for her country and everyone she knows. This is the selfishness I was talking about earlier. The movie asks us to think of Mushu as selfish for his willingness to put his happiness above Mulan's, but asks us to completely ignore the fact that Mulan thinks of her own opinions as more important than the lives of millions. That is selfish.
You're a brilliant warrior, Shang. You're brave, you're loyal, but you don't trust your heart. Sometimes I wonder if you even have one.
Oh, that's just fantastic. He's already acknowledged in a previous scene that he thinks it's unfortunate that these girls don't get to marry for love, but that's just the way things have to be because the world isn't perfect. And you have the gall to call him heartless just because he doesn't share your priorities? Maybe what his heart is telling him is that he carries the responsibility to ensure the safety of his people, Mulan. Maybe in his heart, he feels that that responsibility is more important than the happiness of 3 princesses.
The needs of the many outweigh
the needs of the few.
Okay. I think I'm alright now. Anyway, the next day they're all traveling through a gorge, and Mushu and Mulan get to talking. She starts laying on the "I don't know what I'd do without you" stuff. His guilt causes him to break and confess everything, and she's understandably just a touch upset.
What you did was unforgivable.
But you and Shang are so different.
Wait a second. Not as different as I thought. All those problems, they weren't us. They were you.
Yeah. No, you two have some serious issues you need to work through. Yeah, Mushu might have exasperated them a little bit, but this stuff was bound to come up sooner or later. You guys really need to hash this out.
I've got to talk to Shang. Tell him I love him. Yeah!
Or, you know, we could just resolve that entire subplot over the course of about 5 seconds. Yeah, that seems much easier. Let's go with that. But they get ambushed by bandits, and the fight makes its way onto a clumsily inserted 3D animation bridge. See if you can guess where this is going.
Come on!
Shang, hang on.
It won't hold us both.
It will. It will, Shang.
Mulan. I'm sorry.
Please. Shang! Shang!
So she literally stands by that cliff all night, and the next morning she vows to complete Shang's mission, leading us to this. Stop! No. I call bullshit. I'm willing to accept Yzma and Kronk living through something like that, but Mulan is a little bit more grounded. Can someone please tell me how Shang was able to survive a fall of hundreds of feet? Because that kinda kills some Disney characters. Yeah. And for that matter, what exactly was the horse doing there? How did it get down into the canyon and wind up so far downstream that it managed to find Shang even after he was floating down the river all night long?
What do you know? Haven't you heard of suspension of disbelief?
Well, Mulan reaches their destination and tells the other emperor that she's the only one who survived the cart crash from earlier in the film, and that she would be happy to marry into their kingdom in the princess's place. Now, I was about to throw a fit about that, but then they pointed this out.
Mulan, the hero of China. Oh, a jewel in your crown, far more dear than 3 mere princesses.
I almost hate to say it, but that makes a surprising amount of sense. So Mulan is to be wedded to this kid whose gimmick is that he's always fiddling with a Chinese finger trap. Because Asian. And of course, just as the ceremony is about to be completed...
With the tying of this sash, we shall unite not only 2 lives, but 2 kingdoms!
Okay, as cliche as that was, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't kind of badass. But the Emperor isn't too happy about the ceremony being interrupted, so he orders his guards to take him away. But Mushu is the one to save the day by climbing into the mouth of this big dragon statue and making everyone think the statue is alive. Long story, but basically there's this thing they keep mentioning throughout the movie called the Golden Dragon of Unity, which is supposed to be some guardian spirit that blesses romantic unions or something like that. So he says that Shang and Mulan should be married, and because the Emperor thinks it's a god talking, he agrees. Furthermore, the dragon decrees that the princesses are released from their vows and can marry whomever they please.
And who pleases them, that's very important.
Honey pie!
Hooray for Western values, everyone! Though I do feel like we're forgetting something. Oh, right. China's about to be invaded by the Mongols, and we're doing absolutely nothing about it. Shit. Well, Shang combines their 2 family temples, which allows Mushu to keep his job, and nice hat there, Shang.
Hey, yo, where's my masseuse? Saving China gives me nuts like you wouldn't believe.
You didn't save China! You doomed it! It's about to be invaded by Mongols, and you didn't form the alliance that could have stopped them! You are made of stupid! And at long last, our movie comes to an end. Final thoughts? Well, if I had to pick one word to describe this movie, it would be uneven. Like I said, there are some things about it that really do work. The romances between the princesses and the soldiers progress naturally, if a bit quickly, the animation is good for the most part, and the story isn't incompetently paced. But the movie does have some pretty significant problems, and unfortunately they're mostly to do with Mulan. This movie botches her character something awful. I've gone into the reasons why her character is so deplorable in this movie over and over again, so I'll spare you another rant. But the point is that while a movie can survive a lot of things, it really can't survive a poorly executed main character. With this problem hanging over the movie, I really can't call this one anything other than worthless. And with that, I have pretty much said all that I can say. So until next time, Code Monkeys, I will see you later. I should make my I should make my first comeback video something and when he finds out that Mulan is female, he finds out that Mulan is female.
Not too bad, Jesse. We are currently sitting somewhere between Rain Brady. He used to be on Whose Line Is It Anyway? I liked that show. Wish it would come back. It is coming back, actually. I just remembered that. I have to see when it's coming back. It's such a delightful television program.
Hi, guy who's trying really hard to sound like Hi, guy who's trying to sound really hard like Harvey Firestein.